Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to have you all here today. It's great to have a full house, both with incarnate and some disincarnate spirits that we have here today. We're approaching the time of year that we celebrate. I know we have to celebrate this every day, but what we're living. But anyway, so we take this time of year to celebrate love and what we know as close as possible to the representation of the living love, what we call Jesus Christ, and we know all the story. And now it's a good time of year to talk about topics like this, which is actually the Christian. Do we live in a Christian principle? And what does that mean altogether, right? So I think it's always a good time to navigate within our own bodies and souls to understand who we are in a perspective of our evolution, and what are we doing in perspective to what we know already, represented by the Christian principles. So we're going to have this great lecture by Marcio Lee today, and before that we're going to have Livia is going to read the passage for us from Happy Life, and then we're going to have a prayer, and then Marcio will come and enlighten us with this message of Christian principles. Thank you, guys.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, as mentioned, the passage is from the book Happy Life by Givaldo Pereira Franco and João de Angelis. When you are at the point of quitting something worthwhile, pray and continue to the end. When you find yourself ready to make a mistake, pray and calmly avoid it. When you realize that you do not have the strength to do your work, pray and get new energy and arrive at your planned destination. When you are tempted into a bothersome situation, pray and get your balance back. When you feel abandoned by the person you believe in or whom you love, pray and have patience, remaining at your post. When you are discouraged and ready to fall down, without any more courage, pray and you will be granted the stamina for victory. Never stop praying.
So with this message from João de Angelis, let us all start our prayer, elevating our minds and our thoughts to our Master Jesus, to our Father, Mother, God, who gave us our existences and our possibility of learning, our free will, and our will to do better and to grow, to learn and to pray, and using those faculties at this moment. Let us pray that we all here today, enlightened by this pure source of knowledge of Jesus Christ, can incorporate in our minds and souls the message of love and spread it by our actions, by our living, by our acts, in a day-to-day basis. Let this love that we're emanating at this moment touch all corners of the universe, all of those who still don't know what that is, and the ones that are still knowing what that is, don't live by it. May the good spirits enlighten the thoughts of our brother Marcio, so we can all learn from his words and the words of Jesus this moment. Thank you, God, and so be it.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Nice to have all of you here. Let me just get myself prepared here. Okay. Here we go. Alright, so we live the Christian principles. When I was given this title to talk about, I was thinking, how can we summarize everything that Jesus taught us, right? How can I summarize the gospel of Jesus into all of this? And then I was thinking, how can I summarize the gospel according to Spiritist, right? As a Spiritist, we study what the Kardec brought to us and all the good spirits that helped Kardec to put that book together, right? And I was inspired to go to the chapter "Be Perfect" on the gospel according to Spiritist. There is a session there that talks about the moral person. That's the name, the moral person. And in that session, it kind of describe a little bit what we have to do to live the Christian principles. And that is what we're gonna go through today. I copied exactly what is we have there in the gospel according to Spiritism, and then we're gonna go through it and talk a little bit, right? There's a few parts that I have summarized it because of the time, and yeah, just to make it simpler for us to go through. So let's start. And it starts saying, the truly good person, or the moral person, depending on the translation, is one who complies with the laws of justice, love, and charity in their highest degree of purity. So what those laws of just love and charity is, right? Where we can find them. So we can start looking at the Spirit's book, where we have all the moral laws there that we can study. And those who coming on Wednesday, we are exactly in that part of the book, right? And in the question 875, the Spirits tell us that justice is respect for the rights of each and every individual, right? And the good person is always one who respects the rights of their fellow beings as assured by the laws of nature, in the same way they would wish their own to be respected. So when you think about what the right is for others, we can start thinking about our justice, right? The civil laws that we have. If we start, it's not perfect. Those laws are the civil laws are the laws that we have today, based on our needs as a society today, right? So that's a good start for us, right? If we can start to understand those laws and follow those laws, it's a very good beginning for us, right? As I said, this is not perfect, but it's the best law that we have, civil law, that we have since we started our journey as spirits incarnating here, right? You all may remember the law of an eye for an eye, right? That today we look to that law and this is not quite right for us, right? But at that time, that's what they need, right? That's what the Hebrew people needed at that time. And it was acceptable, it was fine, it was okay at that time. So what I want to bring here is that respect for the rights of each and every individual. The Spirits already brought to us that is what we do, what we wish other people to do to us. And sometimes that's hard, that's really hard. I don't know, for myself, sometimes it's much easier if we have things in black and white. That's why I brought the civil laws. Let's start following those laws. This is a very good start. And then it talks about love and charity. And there is another question, 8086, that talks, love and charity complement the law of justice, since love your neighbor is to do to them all the good in your power, all that we would wish to have done to ourselves. Again, this verse telling us to respect as we would like to be respected, right? This is the meaning behind Jesus' words. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So when we think about these three laws, justice, love, and charity, putting ourselves in someone else's shoes is the best way to know if we are doing the right thing, right? If we are complying to those laws. So we are all imperfect yet. We are all progressing. Maybe we may not make the right choice sometimes, but at the best, where we are today is the best version of ourselves. That's something that I have a volunteer here that used to say that, and I love that because we tend to think a lot about am I doing the right thing? Am I, questioning ourselves will be a good start, and see if we are doing what we'd like other people to do to us. And then they continue. If they examine their conscience concerning their own actions, they will ask themselves if they have violated those laws. So the spirits bring again another comment, another piece for this puzzle, that is the conscience. And why the conscience? Why we need to question ourselves? Why we need to question our conscience if we were respecting those three laws? And then again, in the Spirit's book, we have the answer when in the question 621, we have, where is the God law written, right? And the answer is pretty simple, in the conscience. So it's in us, it's everything in us that we need to know if we are following those laws, right? It's, again, not that simple. But if we start thinking and rationalizing it, we're going to start to realize those laws inside of us. Reflection, thinking, and meditating, whatever term you use for that, is the best way for us to know ourselves and consequently know if we are following these laws, right? So good people study their own imperfections and work very hard to combat them. So we use our strengths, that tomorrow they will be able to say that they are just a little better than they were in the day before. And that's why we keep examining our conscience, right? Little by little we progress. Little, by little we are closer to God. We are closer to perfection. We know that perfection is relative. It's not. We will not become gods, but we want to be as close as possible to that perfection, right? So our spirits was not created like this, right? Our planet was not created overnight, right? It took time, and that our progression will take time as well, right? So, but it is our responsibility to do a little bit every day, right? It is not that one day we'll wake up and say, oh, today I'm perfect, I fixed everything and now I'm perfect. No, it will be a progression. It will take time. And then he continues, if they have practiced any evil, or if they have done all the good that was possible, if they have voluntarily disregarded any occasion to be useful, if anyone has any complaint to make of them, and finally, we're going to read this later, but let's talk about a little bit about this evil and good, right? What is evil? What is good? And in the question 631, Kardec have a question to the Medius has a question to the Spirit that says, do humans have the means of distinguishing good from evil? And the answer, yes. Yes. When they believe in God and truly wish to do what is right, God has given human beings intelligence to distinguish between them. So it's in us as well, right? So we know the answer to what is good and what is bad, because again, it's part of our conscience, right? So we just need to search for that inside of us. Am I doing the right thing in the situation A or B? Just think about it. Put again yourself in the other people's shoes. Think about what Jesus, sometimes I ask myself what Jesus would do in this occasion, right? So that is a way that we can define if you're doing good and evil, or evil, right? And then on the following question, 632, they ask, as humans are subject to error, can they make mistakes in their judgment of good and evil, right? Because we're not perfect. We have relative knowledge about the universe and everything, right? So we may make mistakes. What I consider like an eye for an eye, that law 2,000 years ago, that was the right thing today, well, we know better, and we know that's not that way, right? So that judgment will and continue progressing will help us to make better judgment about what is good, what is evil. And then the answer from that is the answer for that is, can they believe to be doing right when in reality they are doing wrong? And then they said, the answer from the spirits are, Jesus said, do to others whatever you would have them to do to you. That sums up everything. We'll never go wrong. And that's, again, the spirits telling us to ourselves to put them in someone else's shoes, right? And it's funny that he answered, you will never go wrong. You know, if you think about that, we'll never go wrong comparing to the stage that we are, right? So whatever decision we make in 3,000 incarnations from now, we may say, well, what I did there was not right. But that's what we know now. That's why when every time I think about this and thinking we are the best version of ourselves, you know, that's what we have to consider. Okay? And then he finished this paragraph saying, if they have done to others everything that they would wish done to themselves. That summarizes everything that we read. I could just read that slide, that sentence, and to summarize the entire paragraph. You know, so this last sentence is the first and easiest guide to ourselves to do every day. Okay, keep that in mind, because I feel like everything else that we're gonna read, it's kind of developing all this paragraph. Because in summary, this is what we have to do, you know, to make sure that we're living the Christian principles. We need to continue looking to ourselves and make sure that we are doing the right thing. And the right thing will be different in different situations, right? Let's see what they say in the next paragraph. They deposit their faith in God, in His goodness, in His justice, and in His wisdom. They know that without His permission, nothing can happen. So they submit themselves in all things to His will. So let's talk about faith. In Emmanuel, in the book The Way, the Truth, and the Light, he says, frequenting, going to a place of worship, getting along with its clergy, and respecting its sectarian symbolism would seem to point to a just person. However, a good worshipper and a good person are not always the same thing. Before anything else, it's necessary to be a man or a woman of God in every circumstance of life. So what he's saying here is that, you know, coming here at TSS or Spirit Center or church, whatever, any religion's place, once a week or every day, even every day, going there every day, you know, doesn't make you a just person, you know, a good person, you know, because life doesn't happen here in this 1 hour that we're here together, right? Life is happening outside. There's where we need to show God and being the man or woman of God, right, is when we are there facing the challenge of life. When we are with other people, right? When we are with those brothers and sisters that needed help as much as we need, right? And he continues saying that in that book, a just person is always faithful and lives under unwaveringly in genuine faithfulness to the Father who is in heaven. So living every circumstances of life before God, you know, doing what God would expect to us, is also being faithful about what the life means, right? While incarnate and when we disincarnate, what happens after life, right? Because we know that life will happen, good things will happen, bad things will happen, and all of that happens for a reason, right? We know that things happen for a reason. There is no coincidence. There is nothing happen by chance, right? There is always everything has a reason. And then the moment that we are thankful for what happened in our lives, that's how we submit ourselves to God's wills. So when good things happen, we go and we thank God. We understand there is a reason why that is happening, and then we look for opportunities to spread that goodness with others around us. So if something is good happening with us that is good, let's help others to feel that same goodness that we are feeling, right? And when something bad happens, from our eyes, because our level, we think that is something bad, right? We classify as a bad thing. We need to remember that that is happening for a reason for us to learn something, right? And again, we need to be thankful to God, right? There's a reason why that is happening, and then it's the moment that we go back and we look to inside of us and try to understand, okay, what I'm doing wrong. What I'm doing wrong that I need to correct myself, right? And that's the moment that we, as I said, we thank God for the opportunity to learn while we are progressing, right? So that is what means submitting ourselves to God's will, and moreover, it means to submit ourselves to divine law. When we think about God, and I need to be okay with what God wants for me, it's really put in practice, and understand the divine laws, because it's not God that is going and say, Marcy, you shouldn't have done this, so you're gonna pay with this, or Marcy, you did a good job here, I'm gonna reward with this thing. It's all about the divine laws, right? That we again have in the Spirit's book, a summary of them, and that all that laws are fair and just. So we just need to get a better understanding of it. I feel that I need to go faster here. They deposit their faith in God, in His goodness, in His justice. Oh, did I didn't. Okay, it's twice. No, good people have faith. Okay, good people have faith in the future, which is the reason to put spiritual possessions before those of a temporary nature. They know that all the vicissitudes of life, all pain and all deception, trials and expiation, and accept them without murmuring. So let's start about faith in the future, because we're talking about faith in the previous paragraph. And when we think in the faith in the future in this sense of possessions, it's to put our moral possession in the first place. We take away all the material possessions. Now that is not important. Let's make that very clear. We are in an earth. We are incarnated. Material things are important for us to live, right? And all of that. The problem is when we put that in first place, and we forgot to be, more. We worry more about what we have been doing with those things instead of living for those things, right? So we need to remember that all the material possessions are temporary. It will not go with us when we just incarnate. What really goes with us is what we acquire here as a moral person. And Emmanuel in the book Living Spring, he says, "Let us grow in virtue and incorporate true wisdom, for tomorrow you will be visited by the leveling hand of death, and you will possess only the noble and or degrading qualities that you have accumulated with yourself." So that is the what are we gonna create here, quality or not, right? Good qualities or bad qualities is what we're gonna take with us, right? And then when we think about the trials and expiations, we accept that that trials and expiation will happen again for a reason, to help us to go through life. And the trials, just explaining the difference between trials and expansion. The trials are those things that we go through life to ensure that we have learned a lesson, right? So we go through that not because we need to learn anything. We need just to be tested to make sure that we learn in previous life or when we are in the spiritual world. But and the expiation, a thing that we need to go through to repair errors, things that we did in the past, and we need to go through that to repair what we have done against our brothers and sisters. And then he continued, men and women who possess the sentiment of charity and love do good for the sake of goodness, without waiting for payment of any kind. I think that's pretty simple and clear, right? We do charity, a good Christian, a moral person, would do charity because they just want to do it. They love to do good. They are not expecting anything back. And like when we are very simple, and I think that happened with everybody, when we open a door to someone else and the person passed by, and then we even say thank you, and they say in your mind, yeah, we're welcome, as simple as that. That you did good, yeah, go, fine, and did not expect anything, even a thank you sometimes, right? And then we start to blame, this person is don't have any how do I say, is not polite at all, whatever. And again, Emmanuel brought in Our Daily Bread, he says, the spirit of service reach understanding, and understanding achieves humility. So it's very nice, the sentence, because it brings us charity to a different level where we do good, we do that because we are not expecting anything in back from that, but that also when we are doing charity, we are understanding what the other person is going through, right? We do that to help them, and that put ourselves in a position that I'm not better than this person. I have my own issues, but I'm gonna help this person because I understand what this person's going through, and probably I went through that as well. Many times when we help someone, we could see ourselves there, right? And probably we went through that, if not in this life, in a previous life, right? And then he say, they repay evil with good, take up the defense of the weak against the strong, and always sacrifice their own interests in the name of justice. So they helping others, repaying evil with good. And in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in the chapter talks about love your enemy, the Spirits bring one thing very interesting that I'm going to read for you guys, and on how we do this, how we repay evil with good. Because that can be hard. Someone do something bad to me, I'm gonna do good to the other person. That's not as simple, look like in this sentence here. So in Love Your Enemy chapter, the Spirits tell us it means holding neither hatred, rancor, or desire for revenge against our enemies. Right. So first step, someone did something bad to us. The first step is that we don't go and plan any revenge on that. It means forgiving them unconditionally and without ulterior motives for the evil they have caused us. So remember when Jesus answered the question about how many times you have to forgive, 77 times 70. So forgiving, when we make the same mistakes and you forgive once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and you keep forgiving, no matter what, right? It's hard, I know, but we must try. We must try, right? Then the Spirit continues. It means not setting up any obstacle to reconciliation. No excuse, or no. What is the word? You don't put any conditions to reconcile to someone else. So I'll become friend again with Mark if he does this, this, or that, right? Well, that's not really a reconciliation. When we forgive and we forget, we go and make peace with that person without putting any conditions there. It means wanting the good for them instead of wishing them evil. Oh my God, how many times we have see something happen with someone that we consider an enemy, and then you think, I hope this thing happened to this person. This bad thing happened to that person. We need to shift that and not wish anything bad to that person. On the other hand, we should wish good things for that person, right? It means rejoicing instead of despairing for the good that reaches them. Another situation, right? How many times when we see something good happening to our enemies, whatever level of enemy we have, right? Because enemy is not, could be a co-worker, right? That we don't like that much, and we just say, how come that person be promoted? How come this happened to that person, right? It's a very bad person. No, let's be happy. Okay, person got promoted. Good for him or for her, whatever, and be happy for that. That person may have changed, right? It means extending to them a helping hand in case of necessity. Even harder, right? Help someone that you consider an enemy may be very hard, but that's what a good person would do. That's what we repay evil with good. Someone come and ask for that we don't like, and then come and ask for our help. Let's help that person. It means abstain either in word or act from anything that might harm them. Finally, it means repaying evil with good in everything with no intention of humiliating them. That's another thing, not humiliating them. When we do something someone else, like we said, helping them, extend our helping hand, again without condition, without saying, oh, I'm helping you because I'm great, right? Or because whatever. We should do that hiding and without he said, humiliating anyone. This kind of people encounter satisfaction in the benefits they have able to spread, in the service they are able to render, in the happiness they promote, in the tears they are able to dry, and the consolation they offer to those who are afflicted. Their first impulse is always to think of others before themselves, and to look after these interests before looking after their own. On the other hand, the selfish person always calculates the benefits and losses arising from any generous actions. So let's talk about this part here. This first impulse is to always to think in others before themselves. So putting other people in first place, it's sometimes it's hard, and we need to be careful that we don't how can I say this, we don't forget ourselves, right? Because when we are helping others, when we are putting others in first place, it doesn't mean that we will do something that is harmful to ourselves, right? And excuse me. As Jesus said, it's love your brothers as you love yourself. So when we want to help someone, we need to be sure that we are okay, we are good enough to help others. So if we putting ourselves in first place doesn't mean that we totally forgot ourselves. It means that every time that we have the opportunity, we're gonna do that, right? In the book Living Spring, Emmanuel says, before the neighbor who approaches your heart each day, always remember that you have been placed in this earth to learn and to help others. So we are incarnated to go through experiences that can help us to grow, and that will happen when we help others. You know, we're going to identify, every time that we identify the opportunity to help someone else that's approaching us, we're going to be having the opportunity to learn and to expiate, to trial, right? And then progress. The good person is always good, humane, and benevolent with everyone, without distinction as to race or creed, because they see all men and women brothers and sisters. They respect all sincere convictions in others and never launch reprobation against those who think otherwise. This is very important for us, especially nowadays, and we see that, you know, well, maybe it happens in other times as well. We keep repeating the same mistake, but we put ourselves in higher position. We think that we are in a higher position because of this or that religion, right? And that's the first thing that we need to remember when you're talking with other people and helping others, that we're not better than anyone else. Our religion is not better than any other one. You know, our religion is what we need at this point. It's what helping us at this incarnation. You know, we need to make sure that we are helping others, regardless their religion, their creed, their race, whatever they think. And let's not think that what we know, you know, when he said launch reprobation against those who think otherwise, you know, just because a person thinks different from us, it doesn't mean that they are wrong. Who knows, right? It's just a different point of view. It's just a different way of seeing the same thing. You know, we have different experience. We have been going for different things every day. So we have had different paths in our incarnations, different incarnations. We are all going to the same place, right? But we all have a different path or a different pace to get there. So we need to respect that. We need to make sure that when we are with our brothers and sisters, we are not judging them because of their race or their religion, because their background, where they come from, right? So it's important for us to keep that. And again, Emmanuel in Our Daily Bread says, let no one ask heaven for recipe of fraternity, because the sacred and immutable formula is already known to us, for the words love each other. So if we think about the religions, every religion has their theme, their way of seeing things, but at the end, what we need is inside us is what we have been already told us, that's love each other. As simple as that. The moment that we start to love our brothers and sisters as brothers and sisters, you know, everything will be much simpler, and we will not be, you know, following this or following that recipe, because at the end, religions today are kind of recipes, right? Our religions, we follow this because it would make more sense today, but at the end, what we need is just to love each other. And I'm sure any religion would teach that, right? If we go into the essence of the religions, it's all about love, right? Charity guides them in every circumstance, because they know that those who prejudice others will, with evil words, who injure others with their pride by disregarding their susceptibilities, or who, knowing they could avoid it, do not draw back at the thought of causing suffering, or yet, a contrary, however small, lack the obligation to love one's neighbor, and so do not deserve the clemency of the Lord. And I highlight this part here that we read, just the charity guides them in every circumstance, because they know that those who prejudice others do not deserve the clemency of the Lord. Again, we all make mistakes. No one here is perfect. No one here will not make mistakes through this life. Okay, we all gonna do that, no matter what. What we need to make sure is that we've learned to forgive others, and we learn that through charity, helping others is what will help us to get the clemency when we disincarnate. And Chico Xavier used to say, I make the best translation that I could here, that the good that you do will be your lawyer wherever you go. So yeah, we're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna need to pay for that. You know, the laws are there, the divine laws is there, and we're gonna need to pay for that. But there is a balance, right? Justice is all about balance, and we're gonna make mistakes. But if at the same time we are doing something good, that will be put in the balance, and then we're gonna say, okay, how can we help this person to go for the next existence, the next life, incarnated, to learn a little bit what they have done, this person has done wrong, right? So there is a justice there when we make mistakes, but we're also doing good, and then we're gonna learn from that and balancing this. Okay. They do not harbor rancor, hate, nor yet desire vengeance. Instead, they follow the example of Jesus by forgiving and forgetting all offenses. Only remember the benefits received, because they know that we ourselves shall be forgiven only in as much as we are able to forgive others. We all remember the Lord's Prayer, right? When it says, "Forgive me." How it is? Forgive me for my sins and the same level that I forgive others, something like that. I don't know in English. I always read it Portuguese. But in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in the very last chapter, there is a collection of Spiritist prayers, and then in that collection, there is an entire part of the chapter that talks about the Lord's Prayer and explain sentence by sentence there for us. And when we talk about this part of forgiving, the Spirits tell us that God has made charity as express love for everyone. But charity does not consist only in helping our fellow beings in their need. It also consists in forgiving their offenses. So, forgiving is charity as well. That's what we forgot sometimes, right? We always think that charity is something material or helping someone with talking with them, but charity as well, forgiving is also charity. And why is that? It's because the moment that we're forgiving someone, we're showing them how to follow Jesus' teachings, right? How to behave in that situation. And the same way that if I make a mistake and someone forgives me, next time if someone make a mistake, or even the same person, I will forgive as well, because I learned that lesson. You know, I learned how good it is to be forgiven, right? And then the Spirits continue. By what right would demand your indulgence if we ourselves do not show it towards those against who we have complained? So, if we want to be forgiven by our mistakes, we need to learn to forgive, right? And that's what we learn in the Lord's Prayer, and that's what the Spirit is talking here on, forgiving only as much as we are able to forgive others. So the same, again, the comparison with the balance, right? So we're doing good, we're doing bad, we're forgiving, we're not being forgiven. And then he continues. This kind of people are indulgent with the weakness of others, because they know that they also need indulgence. Remember that Christ said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." They do not take pleasure in looking for defects in others, nor in calling attention to them. And if necessity obliges them to do so, they always try to look for the good qualities so as to lessen the bad ones. So this word for me was indulgence. The first time I read that in Spiritist, I said, what is that? I never heard about this word. What exactly is? And when I understood the meaning of it, I said, oh my God, this is so powerful, and it's like, for me, it's like when I think about my brothers, every time that one of them do something wrong, I went and tell my mom, Bruno, Ricardo, they did this, they did that, right? And I go there and run to my parents and say, this is what happened, like, I want them to be punished for that I could look like, I'm a saint, I'm so perfect, I never did that. So, but then Spiritists come and teach me about indulgence, that is not looking for the defects. It's not, if I have to say something, as he said here, sometimes we're gonna need to do. If I can think about at work, sometimes you need to point out someone error at work sometimes, right? So that's the moment that we're gonna do that, but we can do that looking for the good qualities of that person, putting that in perspective, try to analyze the situation, and not only point the error, but okay, this has happened, but how can we work together to fix it, right? So it's putting ourselves again in the other people's shoes, so we don't have, and because it's so easy to wait for the worst in other people, right? Sometimes I see myself thinking about, oh, this person is doing that because this person is doing this because of whatever, and then I start to create things in my mind that not even exist. So that is even the worst, because we are waiting something bad to happen that may not even happen. There is, we are always waiting for something worse than someone else. So if we change that mindset and we start to expect better things from other people, it's gonna help us. It's not even because of the other person. It help us to have a more peaceful life, I would say. It's much simpler to weigh the good things from others than we always expect something bad, and then if this happened, what are you gonna do? No, stop. Let the things happen, and then you think about it, right? The good person never tries to emphasize the importance of their own spirit or talents at the expense of others, but on the contrary, they take every opportunity to highlight in others whatever these people may have that is useful. They are not conceited about their riches, nor or of any personal advantage, knowing that everything that has been given to them may be taken away. So it's important that I'm gonna read another thing that is part of this paragraph that I didn't put, but it's very important, that it says, they use but do not abuse the possession we have been conceded to them. Now that's a very important thing. I said earlier that we live in this material world. We need material things. What are we gonna do with that is what is important. So it's important for us to learn on how we use everything that we get, that is given to us, and we do not abuse of that, So if I'm a rich person, how can I do a good use of all that money, right? If I have a lot of health, I'm a very health person, I don't need to be rich, right? We always think about these cases when we think about money, but health if I'm a health person, I'm strong. I can go and help others. Why not, right? So the importance is that we do not put all of those things that we have that is good, that is, we're blessed to have, as the most important thing. And we do not do that through other expense. It means that we are not humiliating others. You're not getting those things, exploring people, making people work harder, just for me to have more and more money, right? In the Spirit's book also says that a good person has been placed in a position of command over their fellow creatures. They treat them with kindness and benevolence, because before God all men and women are equal. So we need to know that those people in the command positions, in the higher positions, that no matter if it is in a religion, if it is in a workplace, it is in a family, it doesn't matter. Those people in that position are there to treat others with kindness and benevolence and help them to also grow morally, right? So they have a huge responsibility when they are put in there and to help others, right? At the same time, the people that are subordinate, it says, let it be understood that the duties which go with these positions must be clear, appreciated, and consciously fulfilled. So the person who is a subordinate also has a responsibility there to help that leader to continue doing the good things, right? It's really easy when we are subordinate to someone and judge the decisions of a leader, right? Especially at work. How many times we question, or when we are teenagers and questioning our parents' decisions. I want you to go to this party, and my father and my mother said no. They are wrong. They don't know nothing about this. They don't know what this place is. When we know that the reality is different, we as a teenager, we don't know exactly what happened in those parties and why they are saying no. You're not ready to that yet, right? And finally, to finish this chapter, this part of the chapter says, these are not all qualities which distinguish a good person, but anyone who tries hard to possess those which have been mentioned will find themselves on the road which leads to all the rest. So there's much more, right? Much more for us to learn. If there was only this, we would not be in this transition from a planet of expiation to a planet of regeneration. We would go to happy world, the final stage. So there is much more for us to learn. But as I said earlier, this is the best version of us. This is the best lessons for us to take now. If we start doing a little bit of everything that we have here, we're gonna continue progressing, and we're gonna be ready for new lessons that is about to come, right? It's a list and good enough for us to work on and be better, and progress a little bit more. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marcio, for the lecture, and we have time for questions. So, from the internet or from any of you guys, any comments, questions, anything over there? So, I have a question.
Always you.
I know, it's fine.
Whatever.
I know.
I don't care. We can go. Thank you, guys.
Did you hear your lecture? No. Okay. So we know about this for probably, at least in history, 6,000 years or so, that we need to do good. Like, why we're not doing it still? Like, I know it's an easy question. So.
And I wouldn't say that we are not doing.
Good.
I think maybe we are not doing enough.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
I think that is sometimes we are very hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? It's what I said in this volunteer that come here on Wednesday said all the time. This is the best version of us. You know, we're doing good. We can do more. And as much as we question ourselves, as I said in the beginning, our conscience, and we learn more about ourselves, and I feel that we're going to be able to do more and more good. I don't know. What is your answer to your question?
No, I think that's a great answer. I'll just bite to it. No, I mean, I agree. I think we're all doing it. It's just that we need, I think, and it's something that I do every day, you know, just obvious not to be too hard on yourself that you're not going to do stuff because you're just punishing yourself all the time. But at the same time, elaborate plans, because that's what I do every day. So elaborate a plan on how to do this.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, I think, what we're missing. Because we keep saying to ourselves, so, you know, it's great, you got to do this, and I know about this, and Jesus told me that. Okay, so what's the next step, right? And this is what I tell myself all the time. Like when I wake up in the morning, so what objectively I'm going to do today to do this? Instead of just philosophically talking about how great things are, just objectively, like put in a paper, like this is my number one point of action today. Number one, objective. One is I'm going to say good morning to this guy in the street today, right? That's not objective number one. Objective number two, if someone bumps me in the subway today and pushes me up through the doors, I'm not going to react in a very aggressive way. I'll control myself and I'll think about it. See, that's a huge change, isn't it? Instead of just like go through the doors and push people around. Say, okay, I'm going to at least take a deep breath. Isn't that big? So that's my objective. So I think this is what we need to do.
Yeah, you're right. You're so right, because we talk about examining our conscience, you know, thinking about a thing, but then we need to put that in practice. It's not only, you know, it will be much easier if we just need to think about, I did this wrong. Okay, fine.
Okay.
And keep doing. We cannot keep doing the same mistakes all the time, right? Go ahead.
You know what? When you put yourself in other shoes, there is always two weights and two measures. That's the point. Your defect, when you come to me, will be a virtue. You always change. If you have some kind of feeling, you do not want to, you do not usually spend so much money. Oh, you are a bad person. You are mesquinho. How can you say mesquinho?
Greedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And me, I put myself, because I'm worried about my because I'm older than you, and I have to save money because I don't have to work. You mean? In you, it's a defect. In me, it's a virtue.
Yeah.
Two weights and two measures.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the comment is that I'll just try to summarize is that you always have to take into perspective the different situations, right? Because a situation that's lived by a specific individual may be very different from your own perspective, and what you take for truth, for granted for your situation may not necessarily apply to someone else's situation. You know, in other words, like, don't judge other people, which is the big summary, right? And we know that, right, Marcio? We're talking about. It's funny because I spent half the lecture thinking about one situation that happened in my workplace, and I was trying to come up reading the lectures like, okay, so what's my next step? That's why I brought the next step story, and I really think about this all the time, right? Okay, so what's my next step? So I have one. So Monday, tomorrow, I know what I'm going to do when I got to work. Maybe it's going to fail completely, like it failed the last 2,000 years or so. But
you try it.
But it's still like, you know, I have a plan of action anyway. So thank you.
Yeah, because we have to keep trying, right?
Yeah.
If we don't try it,
Don't complain in the metro.
I know exactly.
Subway.
So I'm working on that one.
Don't take it.
Yeah. Don't take the subway.
don't take the subway. Yeah,
It doesn't work. Avoidance is not a deal, right? Avoidance does not work, you know? And I told you the story. Like, it happens so many times. One day I'll tell the story completely. But I tried to avoid before. Believe me, it will come back at you.
Yeah.
big time worse. So,
All right,
anyway, thanks, Martin. All right, thank you all. It was great. So we're gonna have our passes now. So, as you guys know, the passes are an exchange of like a transfusion, like we do blood donations with blood transfusions. It's exactly the same thing, but instead of transferring blood, we're transferring good energies, right? Isn't that great? So ideally, the more we vibrate together in unison, the better it works, right? Just like when we're connecting to higher things. Oh, there you go. The kids are coming in, so we're all getting ready. Yes, I know. I'm talking to my little friend here. I'm gonna say bye now, right? I'm just telling you what to do. See, I have an electronic thing here in my ear. You can't hear. So bye to all our friends that follow us over the internet. We'll hope to see you again when we're live again. And for you folks that stay here, let's get ready for the